So if AI drafts a legal brief, who is responsible? Is it human or is it AI?
The law is very clear that if there is a human intervention, the human is responsible for it. Today, there is a lot of backlog of cases as well, which I feel can be handled with the assistance of an AI.
Should AI ever sit in the judge's chair?
Never.
Never.
Never. We need empaths, we need people, we need human intervention, because we are talking about personal matters, we are talking about sensitive matters, which only a human discretion can decide.
Would you trust ChatGPT to write a legal notice?
Absolutely. But along with the human intervention.
Okay.
It can...
A warm welcome, Arunima. Glad you could make it today at our studio. If I were to introduce you, not as a lawyer, but as a guardian of justice in the AI era, how would you define your mission today?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I think you guys are doing a great job. See, as somebody who's been part of this industry and been working in the AI space for quite some time, I think my job is to ensure that there is a delicate balance between protecting innovation, technology, also, being, advocating for that, and also ensuring that there remains an accountability on the people who are using it, who are part of the ecosystem. So, which again is very, challenging, because there is a regulatory ambiguity and all, and then it's something which is very new for all of us. We are living in unprecedented times, so everybody is still learning and evolving with time. So
Interesting there. So, in a time where technology moves faster than regulation, what keeps you up at night? Is it ethics, enforcement, or awareness?
I think all three, the intersection of ethics, enforcement, and awareness. But ethics above everything, because when we talk about the technology, it is growing rapidly, and there is of course there is a gap, and the risk is that the ethical gap that has been created might get missed. Okay, if we do not have the proper regulation or legal oversight in place. But then again, like I said, we have to stay relevant with time. We have to see where we are moving ahead with this, right? And with the growing time, with everything changing so rapidly, we are also trying to stay in pace with the technology. It's everything, every second day there is one or the other tool which is being introduced in the market. There are new features which are being introduced, and then there are a whole game of algorithm, AI, biases, stuff like that, which is again a very nuanced space for people like you and I to learn, because we are not from technologic background, but we do we become part of the ecosystem because we are somehow related.
But interesting take on how you are thinking about it on the intersection part of ethics and awareness. Yeah, times are different, but then thank you for this insight. While we talk about that, I feel that we are kind of living in a very dangerous times now in this world. And what's your take? Are these times quite dangerous, or it's the innovation, the pace of technology that's kind of changing?
I think we're living in very transformative time, at least for the legal community or the law space, if I can put it that way.
Okay.
It is both exciting and precarious. Exciting because we are seeing new
Uh-huh.
innovation, new technology, and new products being introduced in the market every single day, and they have some of the most exciting features, right
Right.
from your phone to your television to every right to to something as simple as Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
So we are all very excited to use these tools, which are simplifying our life. But again, it's also precarious because, in the sense, there is a regulatory ambiguity. There is, clearly no specific
Right.
guideline today, and for especially for businesses or startups who are, working in this in this space, there remains not much information.
Oh.
How to do the testing, what is allowed, what is not allowed, what kind of oversight do I have from the regulators over me, and what kind of risk am I taking. So again, it is precarious as well. And then the whole game of ethical, oversight comes into play, where you do not know to what extent there is a very thin line being, when it comes to sharing some data or insights on your AI tool and
Mm-hmm.
generating an output, utilizing that, and leaking somebody's sensitive confidential information. So you have to ensure that you're doing it carefully, so that the confidential information and the sensitive information or somebody's privacy is not infringed.
That's very thin line, I think, you're working on.
Right.
And as lawyers, you would have access to confidential information like daily basis. And when AI and these innovations come in, how do you kind of look forward to handling such information?
See, I think as it's not something which is new for us. We have been handling confidential information since time.
Yep.
I don't do. I mean, since the beginning of time,
Yep.
right? But then, having said that, today AI becomes a very important tool,
Mm-hmm.
even for the legal community, because it removes the lawyer's traditional role and is placing the lawyer as more as a strategist, where I can spend more
Oh,
time
very
on
interesting.
clients' business growth as well, can talk about them, about confidentiality as well, and spend more time in helping them, being a business enabler, rather than somebody who's being an impediment and just going by the rule of the books and saying, hey, this is allowed or that is not allowed. Today, even a regular person, a regular, a common man can go and look at certain things on GPT
Mm-hmm.
and derive certain information
Right.
as per as per the statutes which are publicly available, the
Right.
case laws which are publicly available,
Right.
and can come to know whether these things are applicable in his case or not. But then when I am, utilizing those tools, I have to be very careful, and I have to know, to what extent can I share these information, and what kind of information can I also share. So, for example, we do a lot of very high value deals,
Mm-hmm.
where so I told you I also work in the M&A
M&A
space,
space,
right,
yes.
where the documents are voluminous, and these documents are given to you with a certain clock, where you have to build in a diligence matrix, or you have to build in certain conduct due diligence.
Okay.
Okay. And sometimes these documents are not even in English language. So I worked on a deal which was in Netherlands,
Okay.
and I was looking at documents in Dutch. It was not even in English language, but I could not use AI because I had my confidentiality agreement
Right.
in place, which restricted me from uploading those documents on a publicly
Oh,
available tool. So I had to get a proper translator in place to translate those documents, so that I know what is contained on those
documents.
on those files. So
Interesting.
it is about you have to be mature enough, you have to be seasoned enough to know what is allowed and to what extent can I be involving an AI tool in my work.
Okay. Interesting take on this. I think knowing it from the lawyers is very first thing, and I like that. So, moving ahead, I would like to understand more about your journey from studying law to becoming an advocate for AI ethics. Was there a moment that made you spark your interest in the technology space of legal piece there?
So my journey started with traditional role. Okay, I started with courtroom advocacy, did my legal education, completed my legal education, went to courtroom, and then I started working in media. And media is a very wide space. It
Mm-hmm.
has everything and anything. So I
Yeah.
became a TMT lawyer, telecommunication, media, and
Yeah.
technology.
That's interesting.
Right. So tech became an indispensable part of my work,
Okay.
right? But then, of course, there came a pivotal moment when I was doing a cross-border transaction where I was working on an AI tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I then realized that, how ill-equipped our laws are. I'm not just talking about India as a country, I'm talking about globally.
Globally. Oh, okay.
Globally, how the laws are ill-equipped to handle something like this. And then I realized that that sort of drew my interest into this space, and I wanted to work more in this.
Okay.
And of course, you have to stay relevant with times. This is a very evolving space. It's a very dynamic space. You're
Yes.
changing, you're seeing, witnessing change every day.
Yeah.
So you have to know. It's interesting to work also, but you also have to be on your toes all the time, because you have to, keep pace with the change which is happening at such a rapid scale. So I think
Very.
that's where I started realizing that let me also work more into the space and get the expertise to understand, so that I can very well guide a client or a business or a startup which is
Mm-hmm.
coming to me, that what kind of products can be introduced in the
Okay.
market, what are the rights and obligations, what are the restrictions, stuff like that.
Oh, interesting. And uh, one thing you said that it's a dynamic field, yes, and I think it shows your interest in AI. I think you've choose one dynamic field that's kind of disrupting the entire verticals across, not just in India but globe also. So when we talk of AI, I think uh, more importantly, what comes up for you, maybe I think that's what I would guess is AI and the legal ethics. It might be one subject which will always come to you as when somebody comes to you for AI or AI tools or kind of an M&A or some startups, right? Uh, Apart from the legal aspect, I think legal ethics also would be an important piece there. So I would like to understand, right? This is a very different lens. I would like to hear from you. When lawyers use AI tools for, let's say, research, uh, what are the core ethical considerations they must make?
As lawyers, we have to ensure that we are like I said in the beginning of this conversation, that while we are all up for the technology,
Yep.
we also have to ensure that somewhere we are protecting the fundamental rights, which is privacy, and not infringing upon somebody's rights.
Okay.
Okay. Having said that, when we are using an AI tool, it is something as an accountant using an Excel tool,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or a photographer using a Photoshop tool. AI
Okay.
is merely a tool. It is supposed to complement your role. It is not supposed to replace the human being or the lawyer. So while I'm using it to outsource certain
Hmm.
judgments, or to cull out certain clause and
Yeah.
understand where is it contained in the document, the interpretation, the review part of it is still dependent on me. That is not something that an AI tool cannot tell me whether this clause or this provision will hold good in the court of law or not. That's something which is up to the human's discretion. And then there comes the traditional role of lawyers, where there are lawyers who are working in the criminal side of the law or family side of the law. There the empathy becomes very important, because you not only you are a lawyer, you are also involved as a human being, where you have to take certain or guide your client on certain points. Now these could be emotional factors as well. Now an AI cannot do that, because AI does not have the emotions. So
Yes.
it is supposed to complement your role. It is not supposed to replace your role.
So if AI drafts a legal brief, who is responsible? Is it human or is it AI?
Again, it's a very complicated topic and it's also evolving with time.
Okay.
But today, the law is very clear that if there is a human intervention, the human is responsible for it because we do not recognize AI as the creator as of now. Okay.
Okay.
Well, there have been talks in the global space where, people are trying to create something using AI and where the tool can be given the copyright or the trademark as well.
Oh, is it?
Yes. But that will take some time. It's not something that can happen at this juncture. So, like I said, it's a very complicated topic. So, today, if there is a human involved, it is the person who is putting in the input to generate certain output from the AI who's responsible. So the liability lies with the creator or the vendor or the end user as per their, as per their applicability.
But does that is taken in a good spirit by every lawyer in India?
Don't know. I mean, see, again, this is like I said, lawyers, there are mostly traditional roles, and law as a legal community, it is still evolving, where we have started to recognize expertise and specialists. I'm talking about India as a country. It is already done in the EU or the US region. But when we talk about our country, it's taking some time for people to recognize that, okay, there is something called a media lawyer or there's something called a tech lawyer. It is not, again, it's not a very common place or common title for people to know. It is still evolving with time. While it sounds very fascinating and interesting, where people want to be a tech lawyer or media lawyer, but what it actually entails is not very clear. Like, when I started my journey, I really didn't know that I can also be a TMT lawyer. It took me some time after entering the industry, which happened only after, 6 years of my career. When I entered the media space and I said, hey, this is also something that I can do. And I am a TMT lawyer because I've worked in tech, media and telecommunication. There's something like this. So it is again a very, so having said that, people who are working in the technology space, they are a mix of both a strategist and a legal person. So they come with the legal knowledge, but they also understand technology. So I'm sure they are the ones who are, happy about it because they're also, building policies. They're also talking about ethics and accountability. So I'm sure people like those are happy. I'm not sure how it is being taken, in or considered by the majority of the legal community. That's something which is debatable. I've not conducted any research on it.
Fine. But then, do you see, is there a need of a very defined professional conduct guidelines around AI within to be used in the Indian legal community? Would that help somewhere?
Absolutely. It should. And, AI has to be brought into the legal community, in the legal space also, because if the law has to stay relevant, you have to become more efficient. Today, there is a lot of backlog of cases as well, which I feel can be handled with the assistance of an AI. But again, this is something which is, again, a very gray area. It also depends on what kind of tool are you introducing, what is the accountability when you bring in that tool. And, you will still need human intervention. You will still need that discretion of a real judge and the empathy of the real judge to, put out, share a judgment order or a judgment on that particular matter.
Correct.
So, but then I think the government is also working in the space. They are coming now and then every time with an advisory. And I think this is a layered approach. It will take some time, but then we are evolving.
Yeah, because I think very interesting fact and point which you mentioned that India is evolving and India doesn't have any comprehensive AI law. But would like to understand, where do we stand now as part of an AI regulation in India?
METI had, it keeps bringing in certain advisories and regulations, and there are clarifications, notes, which are now and then every time introduced. But then, there is an ambiguity when it comes to the regulatory oversight and intervention.
Okay.
There is a clear ambiguity. So, uh, how can you test an AI tool that you want to deploy? And what kind of testing is allowed? It also depends on various industries. Now, for me, somebody who's working in the pharma space, which is very overly sensitive space, to introduce an AI tool is very, very risky zone. Now, somebody has to do a very deep research to understand how this tool will be deployed, what kind
Right.
of expectations are from this tool, and what are the responsibility,
Right.
what are the the output that we'll be generating from that, and what kind of data are we sharing. Because for me to generate somebody's medical record,
The
and
research.
health advice,
Yes.
I need to put in his medical record.
Yes.
Now that could be overly sensitive, and not everybody is comfortable with that. You also need to have consent from that person.
Correct.
So there is privacy, there is consent, there is a lot many factors that needs to be taken into consideration. But then I think we are slowly seeing, there are different people who are working in this space, people who are working, they are researching in this space, not just the policymakers, but also the people who are working in the compliance space, people who are legal advisors. They're also working, and they are also regularly researching. They're also, advising the clients, companies, corporates that they're working with, that what can be done, and to what extent the liberty can be exercised.
Interesting. I think so. That brings to a point. If you could help us understand, where does the DPDP Act, which is there, right, 2023, influence the AI in terms of development, and especially the use of data and privacy? Because without data, AI is nothing. And if with data now, with the DPDP Act, privacy becomes topmost. So your thought, your lens on that.
I think the Data Protection Act is one of the guardrail that we have when it comes to technology. It does restrict it at some point, because like you said, you have to put in certain data to generate an output and a result.
Yes, yes.
And it also depends on what kind of data are you sharing. Now, for personal data, for me to generate put in certain personal data and to generate that record means that I'm breaching somebody's confidentiality.
Yeah.
But then again, it is the guardrail. It is one of the restriction that is taking care of the privacy part of it, that we are not infringing upon somebody's personal rights. But at the same time, we are also allowing the innovation to happen with legal and regulatory oversight over it.
Interesting. So it's when you say there are guardrails, so do you think India should build their own frameworks around AI and, for example, data protection, or maybe so that we become the powerhouse, we become the next generation, as we are dependent on the international markets, the US or the other markets there? Could India do that, what the developed nations are doing? So do we need to kind of look at from a scratch perspective? Technocrats or technology people are kind of developing AI tools in India. Would the legal system support them? Would the legal system look at them as that these startup or innovators are something which we should support? Or again, there would be a point where legal has its own way of looking at things there, because I think they are all, I'm not very sure, but they're all kind of looking at whatever acts and laws are been defined. And if we do not see an AI law which is there, I think they would have to go back to what already is being defined.
No, absolutely. And this is the need of the hour. Okay, but then again, there is no developed country also which has come out with a very absolute statute on this note, because AI for everybody is something which is an unprecedented topic. It is something that everyone is experiencing for the first time. So EU has, European Union has brought into, they are building their own AI Act, and I strongly believe that it will work. It will serve as a mother statute, just like GDPR, which we, every country has relied upon for the data protection. US also has certain federal, acts which are in place when it comes to AI.
Yes.
But they have a very soft approach when when they're dealing with technology. Yes, and EU is very stringent. So definitely, India is a very futile ground. As in today's time, when we talk about startup, when we talk about growth, when you talk about development, so it's a very good space for tech companies and startups.
Okay.
So we do have to bring in something which is in black and white, and which serves as a governing norm for these people to understand what are their rights and liberties, and what are their restrictions. Today, like I said, there is an ambiguity in this space. People are struggling. They are not, some of these startups are not even able to test the AI properly, because you have a regulatory oversight on your head, but you are not sure of what it actually entails. So there has to be a very clear guideline, and with certain things like predictive analysis, algorithm, biases, what kind of tools are being deployed by the companies or the corporates, and to what extent is it being used, is something which is again a very complicated gray area. And any if the government intervention would definitely help, but that way is going to take time. We also need we are like, data privacy is a very new space, place for us. Okay, when we started working in that area, we heavily relied upon EU. I remember I started working in the privacy space since 2019, where we did not even have the Data Privacy Act in place, or not even any talks about it.
Yeah.
I've been working since 2019. So I think we will also need to have some sort of precedent where we can rely upon some other country and see how it pans out for them before bringing it to ours, because we are a very culturally sensitive people. And anything that has to be brought into effect also needs to be considered, also needs to consider the people.
I think
Because that is a very important pillar of, that is a very important pillar of any nation.
Right.
So you need to consider, you're dealing with human beings, you're dealing with emotions. You also need to consider what kind of acts or statutes you are bringing in place, and how it will affect the regular lifestyle.
Very interesting there. So just would take this one shift from where we are. Let's come back to look at the lawyers. A lawyer's desk. How would a day-to-day lawyer embrace AI? What would, I'm sure AI would help him to do research or drafting, but as lawyers, I think, as you're a lawyer there, he has to kind of change, right? He'll have to, when we talk of creative people, when we talk of technology people, they are already consuming AI. They are using some AI models. Consultants are kind of using ChatGPTs and any other models to kind of help them draft lot of things. Well, when I want to talk about is a lawyer's desk in a daily day-to-day routine. Where and how would AI help a particular lawyer?
So I honestly feel there are two kinds of people in the world.
Okay.
One category who are using AI, the other category who makes you feel guilty about using AI because they don't know how to use it ethically.
So let me just pause you. What was the two categories before AI?
See, again, it's contextual. So I'm talking about in the context of AI, there are only two kinds of people. One who are using AI and they know how to use it efficiently. and they're using it to make their work more efficient.
Yes.
And the other category who will make you feel guilty about using AI. Okay. And this also contains your lawyers and the legal community people. Okay. Both categories. Now, as a lawyer, a lot of my time is spent on the drafting part of it, negotiating part of it, vetting the document.
Yep.
So if my routine work can be, simplified by an AI tool, something as a research based task, something where I have to draft certain emails or, draft certain routine tasks for which it is not heavily confidential or not heavily sensitive data that I'm talking about. It only aids in making me a strategist where I can be a business enabler. I can also focus on the other elements of the business. I'm talking about because I work in the business space.
Right.
So I just cannot be thinking about the legal part of it. I have to also think about the business part of it. I also have to think about the operations part of it.
Very interesting. I think you're looking not just from the lens of a lawyer, but you want to kind of go become a strategist. I think that's what I'm hearing in your conversations which we have. You saying that a lawyer should also talk about strategy, and that's an imperative. If you ask me, when you are dealing with businesses or business houses, I think you should be a strategist. If you're not a strategist, I think it's kind of you're not aligned with the business there. Interesting. I really love this because you said that you should become a strategist and AI should aid you as a co-partner to
Right.
kind of work with you as a co-partner for certain rudimentary task or certain research task which could help you there. But while you kind of bring in more on table for either customers or the case which is there. Very, very, very interesting. I think strategy, I would remember this.
And a lot of it also influences your board's decision at times, where, they want to understand from a lawyer's perspective that, hey, do you think that decision makes sense to you? If I am going ahead and approving something, do you think it does make sense for my business to take that kind of a call? Now, nobody wants, like I said, we don't want anybody who is a jibber jabber coming and telling me what is contained in the hardbound drugs books. Right, I call it hardbound drugs. So
interesting.
nobody wants to know that. Okay, people want to know how do you interpret it. Okay, there is a restriction, I am not allowed to do this, but my business is dependent on if this is a risk, and if I can take it properly and channelize it effectively, I can grow massively. And only a lawyer can tell you that. But I don't want to know what is contained in the statute. I want to know how do you interpret it. Do you think that this risk can be taken? So for a lawyer now, it is the rules are changing. You have to be adapting to the current world, and you have to stay relevant with the time. And you have to have taken assistance from AI tool. In the yesteryears, there were interns, there were legal apprentices who would do the work for you. But today, the courts have also moved from hard copies to the soft copies, PDF. The Supreme Court of India has gone totally digital, where you're filing everything online.
E-courts kind of
E-courts is there. So today the orders also, you get a certified copy order by going to the court's website and downloading a certified copy. So you don't have to apply for it, physically. So yes, I mean, the roles are changing, and the legal system will also evolve with time. So for me to stay relevant and to stay with the time, I have to take assistance from AI. I have to take it as a co-partner, like you said, and not just as a something to just replace me.
So my next question to you is, what skill should law students be learning today in an AI-driven world?
I think keeping up with the pace, research, and of course adaptability is one skill that all law students should take help of if
Okay.
they want to be successful in this world. Because AI is not something which is precedented or which is very static. It's always changing. So there are new laws, new rules, new regulations which are coming into picture. And the only way you can keep up with the pace is by researching about it, by being well read on it, and being aware of what essentially you want to derive out of your own service. Like if you're a lawyer, then what are you looking for in future?
So do you think would AI redefine the role of a lawyer, a judge, or you have these paralegals there?
It will, of course. It's a very, like I said, it's it's changing with time, and today a lot of judges also in some of the courts in the US, some judges have started taking help of the AI to derive or to give a judgment, to pronounce a judgment, to understand the case matters better. Now,
Okay.
even in India, we have seen that there are judges who are doing civil cases for a while, and they're also handling the criminal matters. So, if you go to a sessions court, the same judge is handling a civil matter in the first half, and the second half, he's listening to the criminal matter.
Okay.
So there is nothing as a specific judge at a trial level.
Okay.
It's a mix. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with a mix, you might not be an expert in every area of the law. There are cases where, somebody would have committed an offense using an AI, like we saw recently, a very well-known reputed organization student, okay, educational institution. Their student was found, he had created fake images of his classmates, female classmates, more than 100 classmates. And these were objectionable images which were put out in public. Okay. Now, if you're dealing with something of that sort, you need to know the matter. You need to understand where the law will intersect with the technology and to what extent that person deserves the punishment. So, to say that a judge has to be aware of certain, the the new recent developments as well,
Developments there.
and the new kind of crimes that are being committed, the offenses that we are seeing today. So of course that's something which is changing. And when it comes to lawyers, like I said, lawyers are using AI, and it is complementing their role in the legal system, whether you are sitting in a corporate house or whether you are a litigator. It does help you become a better and more efficient service provider as a strategist, as a negotiator, as somebody who is working on a legal deal, high value deals, HVDs. And when it comes to law students, I think most of the law students, their role revolves around, research, where you are making certain paperwork, you are working on some internships. And honestly, not every lawyer or law partner, law firm partner, or somebody who's already practicing will have enough time to dedicate to a law student and explain what it actually entails. So AI becomes a very indispensable tool for them as well.
Okay. So then, do you feel that as we look at law as a professional and there are lawyers there, would corporates maybe look forward when we talk of AI, saying, I have an AI lawyer? Would that day come soon, or it will still be a long way?
I think a lot of people have started terming themselves as AI lawyer.
Okay.
Where I am not sure whether corporates are doing that, but people at an individual level, they have started calling themselves, because they understand how important it is to be a specialist in today's time.
Okay.
Like any medical, worker, like a doctor or somebody who is in the medical field. Today, you see, there is a variety of specialists. Not everybody, so you wouldn't be comfortable going to an oncologist who is dealing with, let's say, only a certain type of cancer. You would want a specialist who is dealing with that kind of a body organ,
Right.
where he's had certain precedents and you're comfortable going with him,
Right.
depending on the complexity of the matter. And same applies to lawyers. So I think people have started realizing that and now they are terming themselves as specialist. I've seen that even with 1 year practice or 2 year practice, they've started calling themselves expert or specialist, which is clearly not the case. It's deceptional, but yeah, I mean, to each his own.
Great, great. So then, uh, which emerging technology do you feel like, let's say, generative AI or a legal chatbot or a blockchain contracts, right? Do you think will disturb the practice of law?
I don't think it will disturb the practice of law, to be very honest, because these are already existing at I mean, in today's time as well.
Okay.
If you ask me whether a lawyer's role will become redundant because of these tools being in place, uh, to some extent, yes. For some lawyers, yes, if they are not upskilling themselves. Today, it is all about skills. It's not just about degrees. So I may have, done multidisciplinary courses, but unless and until I am developing my skills, which is relevant in today's time, might not be preferred, whether it is in-house or whether it is as a litigator.
Oh.
That being said, chatbots today are doing, very incredible job when it comes to even, regular clients who are looking to hire lawyers. Now, I've had clients who had come to me in the past also, who had done their research and told me that, look, I have done my homework on this topic and I know what are my rights. I know I have a good case and I know that these are the, research material that you would require in the courtroom. So would you be able to take up my matter? So it is an informed client. It's a smart client who's coming to me. So he knows that he can't be taken off for a ride. Okay. Similarly, there are people who are, there are lawyers who are using the tools to understand the other aspects of the legal field as such. So, for example, I may be a tech lawyer for 5 or 6 years of my stint, but I have not been specially catering into AI. I have been dealing into machine learning. I have dealt with chatbot in the past, but not very specific to AI.
Okay.
That requires a completely different level of skill and different skill set. Right. Now, for me to understand and to cater to some sort of a business which is dealing in AI, I need to do, upskill, do some training, do some coursework. So, of course, these are coming in handy to people like us, people like you and I, and people like, the Aam Janta of this country.
Right. Great. So, I think your take on if you were designing the India's first AI in law course, any 3 modules which you would want to recommend that should be there in that course?
I think AI and ethics, very important, because there has to be a clear understanding of usage and accountability of a tool, which is so dynamic and poses a significant risk. Second, I feel AI and data privacy. Okay. Because it is intertwined, so you can't really segregate both and say, hey, this is different or that is different. You are dealing with data. And sometimes it may entail personal data, so data privacy. And the other would be, the AI-specific technology wherein, I am teaching certain aspects of tech to people, especially law students, because we as lawyers, we don't have any specific coursework which is dealing into tech law. Okay. It is something you learn on the ground when you're doing your work and you're sitting with, people who are engineers, people who are creators. And that is where you learn it, when you collaborate with different verticals, that you learn, hey, okay, this is how it is to be done.
So what's your take on the creators, right? We have the creator economy and we have people who are influencers, people who are micro creators, right? So, and they use a lot of AI. Well, uh, is it originally they are using it or it's the original content? That's a debatable piece. But what is that you want to give to a creator in terms of certain insights as to how they could see law the plus side of it and from a minus part of it?
I think there should not be an issue with using AI as a creator or as brand. Today, a lot of brands are also using AI to generate certain content, which they are using for advertisement or PR and marketing. What is important is you stay transparent to your end consumers. As long as you are, so for example, if an influencer is working on a body image, and if you're generating an image or photograph which is AI generated, which is perfect, right? Which is very difficult to achieve for regular people. Now you need to see that you are not developing some sort of exceptional expectations from people where it starts affecting the mental health of the end consumer, people who are consuming your content. So you have to be transparent that this is AI and this is non-AI. Okay, so as long as you are transparent and you're not infringing on a third party's personal right, where you're not infringing on somebody's IP, I don't think there should be an issue with this.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, look, let's be honest. When social media was introduced, when Facebook came in, it was again something very new to all of us. We didn't know something of this would even thrive, or I mean, least to say thriving, but whether it would even work in a place like in a country like ours, or even in other places. Okay, today Facebook is a very good place for marketing, and I'm talking about very big brands. They do targeted marketing where they are generating leads. They are doing this as advertisements where you get click per minute, click per so CPM and CPC. Stuff like that. Excuse me, I'm not a tech expert, but
but it's crazy out there. It's the marketing arsenal which you have basically, and Facebook's, Twitter's, Instagram. I think if you want to kind of take your brand to the next level, and you know where customers are, I think customers are there. So yes, it is changing.
I know a brand who did a neuron predictive, because I was working on that deal.
Okay.
So it was a jewelry brand. And what it essentially did is, so for example, if you're watching an advertisement, I can look, so that neuron predictive will look at your eyes and tell you where exactly is your attention. Whether it is on clothes or whether it is on jewelry. And while the brand kept the clothes and everything very minimal and very, standardized, they wanted to bring in some sort of aesthetic touch to the jewelry part of it. And the neuron predictive was doing a market research for them.
Interesting.
So it sort of, could tell the brand that where the attention of the user or the customer who is looking at that advertisement is, and can give you a analytics or an insight which is more
this
real
insight would
based.
really help the brand to kind of decide on how its product features have to be there, because I think
and
that's
it's real time. So
it's real time. Crazy. So we're moving to the next segment. We call it the hot and viral segment there. It's a segment like a question which I'll ask you and give you an options there, and you need to only choose one option. That's how it works. A quick fire, a rapid fire is typically what we talk about it, and I'll shoot questions to you. So the first one is AI in law, revolution or risk?
both.
Both. Okay. Okay, but still, if you had to choose one,
Revolution.
revolution. Okay. Would you trust ChatGPT to write a legal notice?
Absolutely.
Oh,
But along with the human intervention,
okay.
it can give you a preliminary draft, but it does require a very nuanced, oversight and overview, which can come only from a human.
Wow. Can AI ever be ethical without being emotional?
Yes, definitely. It can be.
What scares you more, data leaks or deepfakes?
I think both, because both are invasive and they get into the private space where privacy becomes very, it is at a pedestal. So to me, it
So you
would
want
be
to choose
both.
both of them.
Yes.
I think interesting. In one word, what's the future of Indian law?
Adaptive.
Adaptive.
Yes.
Kind of very strong word there. and that should be, uh, should AI ever sit in the judge's chair?
Never.
Never.
Never. We need empaths, we need people, we need human intervention, because we are talking about personal matters, we are talking about sensitive matters,
Right.
which only a human discretion can decide.
Great. I think wonderful there. Interesting answers and take from you. So before I close, there are a couple of questions. I just want to kind of rapidly take these ones. Uh, what message would you give to young lawyers stepping into this AI age?
Definitely go for it. Okay. And
Okay.
don't be scared of not knowing the basics. Even when we started, we didn't know where to, what it really means. Okay. And, but then be very transparent and ask questions and collaborate with different people, not just lawyers, because that is where you get the most of the knowledge from. You can't sit with your team of people. There are Ivy League colleges where you, let's say, choose a particular stream, and then they will tell you, let's say if you have taken physics, they'll tell you go and sit with a legal law student or sit with a biology student. So make friends in different stream.
Right.
Why? Because you have a cross multidisciplinary learning from each other. You already know physics. Why do you need to be friends with someone who is from your own class? And a lot of Ivy Leagues do that. Have that approach where you are, not just collaborating with lawyers, but also sitting with tech. You're also sitting with an operations guy and understanding from his lens what is business, why AI is changing the landscape of Indian business, or startups for that matter, and what kind of investments are done. That's how you know the commercial risk as well.
It's very interesting. I think what you said is, I'm kind of thinking on something like a cohort which has a mix of people.
Right.
And if we have a couple of lawyers there, couple of engineers, maybe businessmen, I think that kind of a cohort will basically bring the positives in each of them. And if a lawyer or a student has to kind of is part of that cohort, I'm sure he'll learn a lot of.
Absolutely.
Great. So when people typically think of lawyers, right, we often think of courtroom battles, which happens. But your fight here is different. You fight for ethics, you fight for fairness and digital justice. How do you see your role as part of India's transformation story?
Okay. To be very honest, when we are part of AI deals, okay, and I do mostly cross-border deals. I'm working on global deals, okay. I'm not just working in the Indian atmosphere where I'm dealing with one set of laws. I'm dealing with India plus some other country, or let's say US and EU, where there is a collaboration between different jurisdictions. And then I have to read different laws and find out a balance between both, a delicate balance, and then, derive an interpretation of what the law essentially stands for and what it would mean for that particular business. Having said that, I think we are, because law has always been precedented. It has always been very static. It's been, in there. It's been very strongly standing there. Today, what we have to look at as lawyers is that we are adaptive. We are changing, and we are, adapting. We are adaptive to the technology bit of it, where we are also supporting the innovation part of it. Okay. Right. And, when you talk about justice, today there are a lot of offenses, there are a lot of crimes which are committed on the internet or committed on the cloud. Okay. Something as simple as a defamation case. We all have seen a very renowned brand of milk which was defamed by a YouTuber whose account was based somewhere in some other country. Okay, and when the data there was a case filed because he leaked certain data, the court said we'll have to ask that country to give the personal information, but they said, hey, he's now protected under our law, so we'll not be able to give you that information unless you follow the process. So it's very, it's again a very transformative place for lawyers and for legal community, for even people who are affected by the law, who are the subjects of the law. So I think we all have to see where it takes us and how we are fitting into the cog.
Okay, interesting. So, and finally, one line, okay, what does being a guardian of ethical AI mean to you?
Guardian of ethical
AI mean to you? We spoke a lot of AI, we spoke of ethical, and I see that you're already a guardian there, you already are a hero there, and you're helping bring justice by your means, by your skills, by your knowledge. While when we look at this, I would really want to understand and take this to the next level of saying guardians of AI, guardians of ethical AI. So, what does that mean to you?
Again, not be prejudiced
Okay.
about the usage of AI
Mhm.
and be open about certain things, certain possibilities. Okay, I'm not talking about conjectures here. I'm talking about calculated possibilities, and be open about it.
Yeah.
Be okay with somebody even writing a simple post on LinkedIn using an AI. Be okay with that. You don't
Okay.
have to criticize everything, because that is the future and that is the reality. It is a tool, accept it. Take it with a pinch of salt that it is going to replace certain roles. Certain roles are going to be redundant, and be okay with that. But keep upskilling yourself with time and keep learning new things.
Yeah.
Because AI is there. It is the future. It's not just future, it's the present and the future.
It's definitely present and the future there. I think rather than it would replace roles, it might also create more roles as it is replacing there. So a human who doesn't know AI and a human who knows AI. I think
Right.
initially you talked about two parts to it. I think I would like to close it by saying humans who understand AI, humans who don't understand AI. I think. But thank you for kind of coming in here and giving your thoughts, sharing your insights. We have drilled down and taken a lot of aspects along with you in terms of legal, in terms of individual law, behind the scenes. We had done vital questions there. We understand how you fight for justice for others and how you kind of be your own hero there. And we really appreciate for you to come here today and talk us about you and your hero in you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast. If this episode inspired you, do share it with someone who should hear this. Do like, share, and follow our channel for more heroes like this.